Hello, myself Sunil R Nair. Here basically we are discussing about one topic, that is global warming. In this basically it's an idea, and in this basically we are discussing about one topic, that is education. And in education basically the 20 percentage error basically, and 20 percentage is error basically. For that basically the group basically who created the education, assume that basically 4 lakh for 5 lakh people basically created the education of the entire world, basically MBA, MBA, MBBS, MD, BCom, commerce, everything basically, BSc, VSc, MA, BA, everything basically, each and every first standard, junior standard, whatever standard basically, first standard, second standard, like whatever standard, then whatever quality degree basically, each and every certification in this world, chartered accountancy, private degrees, each and every degree basically, that education basically we are talking about. So in this basically we are discussing that how basically we can found the solution basically here. So few groups says that basically we know basically that error basically is there, and the creation basically is already done. So that's the main problem basically. So it might possible that basically the error basically might have came automatically, and basically on their way, it might possible basically that, for example, commerce, science, arts, MBBS degree, that is medical industry. Medical industry basically is totally a different industry. You can't add that into science basically. Science is totally different. Medical industry is totally different. So basically, if lots of people say that basically the people who do the science, they only basically can enter into the medical science. So mostly basically I will suggest basically after 10th or 11th basically there should be one subject of medical, totally different basically. In that basically other than medical, that would be science basically. So that is basically the education industry's problem basically, not our basically. So here basically the thing is the 20 percentage education problem basically is connected with, for example, two person basically are talking. One is MBA, and one is doctor basically. So both basically are talking. Both basically are talking in their language basically, right? They are basically not talking in the. They will basically try to talk basically in their language basically, but the group basically are communicating with the public basically. They will talk in the normal language basically, but the people who are basically in the profession basically, for example MBBS basically, one person basically is running the hospital. He basically works, he basically have lots of people basically under him basically. So for example, few doctors are basically under him, doctors are basically working under him. So he will basically is going to not going to talk in the normal language, right? He is going to talk into the MBBS language only basically. Why? Because the front party, she or he basically is doctor basically. That's why. So assume that basically one doctor is having hospital. He basically, here basically we will take he. He basically have 15 to 16 doctors basically working under him basically. So he is going to talk a normal way basically. He will talk in a normal way to patients basically. Normal way means normal words basically, not medical word basically. That's why basically I was telling education industry has to create totally different medical industry only basically. So that lots of things need to clear. That's why basically. Then basically he told that the medical industry basically language. So one main doctor basically, he talks in medical language with the hospital staff basically, that is the doctors, and patient with the normal words basically. That are basically the set of words basically, right? So that basically, for example, diabetes patient basically use the, for example, one diabetes patient is basically admitted to hospital. So he basically, doctor basically talks to the normal patients like uh, you should eat this, you should eat that, basically you should eat this food, that food. So in doctor basically talks to the another doctor basically, You do one thing basically is fiber is basically too much low basically. Do one thing, write something medicine related to the fiber basically. So he's going to talk like that basically, right? That's a medical language basically. That's a basically the medical language basically, and the normal language was that basically. So this actually seems to be very normal basically, but this is basically everything basically. Few people says that dictionary basically is nothing basically, but dictionary is everything basically. So one person told that who actually created the dictionary. Then one person told that dictionary basically is created by a set of groups only. Na? The Oxford University is there, Harvard University is there, and lots of Sanskrit universities are basically there. Lots of Tamil universities are basically there. They are basically creating the universities basically. They are creating the dictionary basically. So on the words basically, they basically say that we have created the simple words basically, but you are merging the words with set of words basically. That's not our problem basically. So literally basically they also escaped. This is like this basically. The American people says we basically have given the contract to your people basically. If anything basically happens due to our energy basically, that is not our problem basically. That is your problem. Because we have given the dollar to that your person basically, and we have told that basically you have to do your our task there basically. The person who do our task there basically, USA people task there basically, that's his mistake. So this is also like that basically. USA also basically say that is your problem basically. So like this, USA also basically say that that's not our problem basically. We are giving the money in the dollar format to your businessman basically. That your businessman is supposed to do. So businessman what will do? He is a businessman basically. He don't know anything about. He basically is not connected with the education sector basically. He is not connected with the energies. He basically don't have the authority only na basically. He don't have the authority also of the energies basically. Few people says that we have given the authority, but he don't know inside the energy basically what is it. That is, for example, one of the politician people told that basically, can you please do one thing, can you please set his mood to the romantic mood. They basically sends few SMS, sometimes they calls and then basically activates the romantic mood basically. But energy is sent by whom basically? That is sent by the government na basically. They have set it the romantic mood energy basically. That is the romantic mood data basically in the environment basically. So that basically the businessman is just using that data basically. He is not creating the data basically, because blood cells equal to planets, and planets basically creation only government have the authority. Planets are equal to set of cities basically, and set of cities are equal to planets basically, and planets are basically equal to blood cells. So that basically is very deep basically. So businessmen basically say that basically if we will go into this much deep basically, then we can't earn the money basically. We are here to earn the money basically. So few people who basically are the big business level people basically, they think basically something big basically. That are basically they literally creates the energy level companies only basically, like Reliance, ONGC, TCC, Tata Group. They basically have their own data. For example, Tata Group basically have its own software data basically, which converts the data and energies into the Tata Steel basically. That's basically the personal basically, that we can't discuss the which type of data basically is TCS Group is using, which type of data basically software is getting used. So that's basically his personal basically. TCS Group's personal basically. We can't basically interfere in that basically. Even the government basically can't interfere in that. But if TCS Group's data is creating problem in the environment, then basically government will say that basically we have to come into this basically. So that basically they enters. They basically are medical industry basically. So mostly basically they handles the medical stuff also basically of the TCS basically. So like this basically things are basically there. So in this basically next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about the solutions, that is education department's error.